If you just started using a CGM and already feel buried under confusing numbers, endless alarms, and a whole new kind of anxiety, you're in the right place. After 43 years of type 1 diabetes, I can tell you CGMs are absolutely life changing, but only if you know the hidden truths no one tells you. Today, I'm pulling back the curtain on the 5 lessons I wish I knew on day one. These will save you years of frustration and help you actually trust your device. I'll never forget opening my first flash meter, the Libre. I stood in my kitchen, had the sensor in the hand, excited and also a bit nervous and terrified. I guess I don't want to get too hopeful. After decades of finger pokes 8 to 10 times a day, I thought, could this really replace all that? So I clicked it, put the sensor in my belly, and instantly I became obsessed. I was scanning constantly, treating numbers that weren't even real because I didn't understand the lag time. I was overcorrecting, undercorrecting. It was complete chaos. Then, fast forward a few years, came the Dexcom, real time, continuous glucose monitoring. In the same kitchen, looking at the box, had the same rush of hope, watching my sugars live on my phone, and hey, finally an excuse to buy an Apple Watch. But the honeymoon didn't last. I quickly realized it wasn't magic. It took me years to figure out what was actually going on. And that's why I'm sharing this with you. Let's start with the single biggest misconception about CGMs, the accuracy illusion. Here's the first truth. Your CGM is not measuring blood sugar. Finger sticks measure glucose from your blood. CGMs measure glucose in the fluid under your skin, called interstitial fluid. That gap means a lag time in the reading, usually 5 to 15 minutes, sometimes more during rapid changes. So when you eat and your blood sugar rockets up to 14 or 15, your CGM might still say 8 or 9. When you crash after a workout, it might not catch up until you're already shaky. That's why new users end up chasing ghosts, basically. They're treating highs and lows that aren't even real. Add in the chaos of day one insertion trauma, which means during the trauma of the insertion, the readings are inaccurate. And it's no wonder accuracy feels like a joke. Even the best CGM has a margin of error. Your 6.1 could actually be 5.2 or 7.5. Here's the fix. Trust your body first. If you feel low, test it using your glucose. The real power of CGM isn't the single number. It's the trend arrows that go up, down, sideways. You know what I'm talking about. But if your numbers are way off, even when things are stable, that's when the problem isn't timing, it's location. So truth number 2, the placement puzzle. Where you put your sensor matters more than you think. The manual says abdomen or back of arm, but if you scroll the diabetes forums, you'll see sensors everywhere in some crazy places too. Everyone's hunting for that unicorn spot where the readings are accurate, comfortable, and don't get ripped off by a seatbelt or a door frame. You need enough fat, not too much muscle, and you have to rotate your sights. I don't use the back of my arm because I don't have any fat there. Reusing the same patch of skin leads to scar tissue and irritation, which will kill accuracy and absorption of insulin if you take it there. Remember, today's unicorn spot won't last forever. Even with perfect placement, a new nightmare shows up, usually at 2 a.m., and it's not that kind of nightmare. Number 3, the tyranny of the alarm. Nobody warned me that the hardest part of CGMs wouldn't be the needles, it'd be the beeps, those compression lows, right? You roll onto your site in the middle of the night, pressure pushes the fluid away, and the CGM screams that you're crashing. And you're actually fine. You bolt awake from the alarm, your heart's racing, you think something's going on, you grab a juice box, you overcorrect, only to discover your finger stick says 5.8. Complete false alarm. This has happened so many times. After dozens of those, you stop trusting your CGM. So what's the solution? Avoid putting your sensors on your sleeping side. We all have favorite side to sleep on. And always confirm lows before testing, which is a pain in the middle of the night, but necessary. Protect your sleep. Otherwise, the safety net becomes a stress net. But even when alarms stop, a quieter problem takes over: the emotional weight of CGM usage. Truth number 4, the mental and emotional weight. Nobody talks about the mental burden of having your data on display 24/7. Your non-diabetic buddy doesn't know what his blood sugar is, but you do. That graph becomes a judgment panel. Spikes after a meal feel like a failure. A dip overnight feels careless. Chasing perfect time and range can lead straight to burnout. So remember, your CGM is a tool, not a report card. It's there to guide decisions, not grade you. A spiky day doesn't mean you blew it. It just means you have a little bit more information next time. It took me years to separate my self-worth from that blood glucose line. But once I did, the stress lifted and the CGM became what it was supposed to be: helpful, not hurtful. And still, there's one more truth every user eventually faces, unfortunately. That's the hidden costs and hassles. CGMs are incredible, but they're also fragile, expensive, and can be high maintenance. They sometimes fall out, sometimes the sensor fails, you sometimes get rashes, transmitters die, insurance coverage hassles, lack of coverage, not enough coverage. It never ends, right? Sometimes a failed sensor feels like you're just lighting some money on fire. Even small things can mess you up, like dehydration or certain meds, like Tylenol. That's why you need backups. So keep your old meter handy. Know your manufacturer's replacement policy too, and lean on diabetes communities for hacks and workarounds. So CGMs aren't perfect, but they're still the most powerful tool we've ever had. Do I regret getting one or trying them? Not for a second. I would not want to go back to the dark ages of diabetes management. This thing has revolutionized the way I do my diabetes management. But I only started thriving once I learned some of the truths I mentioned. So the number is a suggestion, not a fact. Placement is an art. Not every alarm is real. You are not your graph, and the hassle is manageable if you're prepared. So once I stopped expecting perfection, my CGM became the life-changing tool it was meant to be. So now I want to hear from you. What's the one CGM truth you wish you knew sooner? Drop it in the comments. Your story could save someone years of frustration. If this video helped, hit that like button and the subscribe button. It helps. If you don't want to make these insulin pump mistakes, watch this video here. Bye for now.